When we hear the name Shakuni, we think of a cunning, smiling villain. We think of a jealous uncle who enjoyed destroying his nephews' lives. We picture him sitting in the royal court of Hastinapur, rolling his dice, laughing as the Pandavas lost their kingdom, their wealth, and their wife. We see him as the root of all evil in the Mahabharata. But what if I told you that Shakuni was not the villain? What if I told you that Shakuni was the biggest victim in the entire epic? The truth is, those dice in his hands were not made of ivory. They were not made of wood or stone. They were made of human bones. And they were not just gaming tools. They were the physical remains of his own father, buzzing with the restless soul of a dead king who demanded blood. Shakuni wasn't playing a game. He was performing a dark ritual of revenge every single time he threw them. To understand the horror of the dice, we must travel back decades before the war. Long before Duryodhana was born, the Kuru dynasty was expanding its empire. Bhishma Pitamah, the guardian of the throne, marched his armies to the kingdom of Gandhara. He defeated King Subala and imprisoned him along with his entire family, 100 sons. Imagine the scene. A cold, dark, underground dungeon, no sunlight, no hope. 101 royal men crammed into a stone box. But the torture wasn't physical beating, it was starvation. The Kuru administration decided to provide food for only one person. Every day, a single plate of rice was lowered into the dungeon. Just one plate for 101 hungry men. It was a cruel, psychological game. The Kurus expected them to fight each other like animals for the food. They wanted them to turn on each other. For the first few days, the family shared the rice, each taking a single grain. But they realized the truth. If they shared, they would all starve to death within weeks. The lineage of Gandhara would be erased from history. King Subala made a terrifying decision. He looked at his emaciated sons and said, "If we all eat, we all die. But if we sacrifice ourselves, one of us can live. One of us can survive to take revenge." They decided to test who was the smartest, who had the rage and the cunning to destroy the Kurus. They chose the youngest, the most intelligent son, Shakuni. From that day on, the horror began. Imagine the nightmare. Shakuni sat in the corner, eating the full plate of rice, while his 99 brothers starved to death in front of his eyes. One by one, they withered away. They stopped moving. They stopped breathing. Shakuni had to eat while listening to the death rattles of his own siblings. He had to swallow his food while his family turned into skeletons. He wanted to die. He wanted to scream. But his father, King Subala, wouldn't let him. "You must eat," he whispered. "You are eating for our anger. You are eating for our justice." Finally, only King Subala was left. He was fragile, his skin clinging to his bones. On his deathbed, he called Shakuni close. He wanted to ensure that Shakuni never forgot the pain. So, in a final act of brutality, Subala took a heavy metal bar and smashed Shakuni's leg. He broke the bone so that Shakuni would limp forever. Every step he took for the rest of his life would be a reminder of the dungeon, a reminder of the pain. Then, Subala gave his final horrific command. He said, "My son, when I die, do not burn my body. Take the bones of my fingers. Take my spine. Carve dice out of them. My soul will live inside those dice. When you play, call to me. I will listen. I will turn the numbers to whatever you desire. No one will ever defeat you in the game of gambling." Subala died. Shakuni, alone in the darkness with 100 corpses, did as he was told. He carved the dice from his father's remains. When Shakuni was finally released, he was no longer a man. He was a graveyard, walking in human form. He came to Hastinapur not to rule, but to rot the empire from the inside. He became the guardian of Duryodhana. He poisoned the prince's mind, not because he loved Duryodhana, but because he needed a weapon to destroy Bhishma's lineage. Think about the game of dice, the Dayuta Sabha. When Yudhishthira kept losing, everyone thought it was just bad luck. They thought Shakuni was a master of sleight of hand. They were wrong. Every time Shakuni rattled those dice in his hand, he was shaking the bones of his father. When he threw them on the floor, it was his father's spirit landing on the board, ensuring the exact number came up. 6, 4, 12. The dice obeyed him because they were a part of him. The silence in the hall wasn't just shock. It was the heavy presence of 100 dead ghosts from a dungeon in Gandhara, finally getting their revenge. Shakuni did not care about the Pandavas. He did not care about the Kauravas. He wanted them all dead. He engineered the war of Mahabharata to ensure that Bhishma, the man who imprisoned his family, would watch his own family slaughter each other. In the end, Shakuni succeeded. The war killed everyone. The Kuru lineage was decimated. When Shakuni finally died on the battlefield, slain by Sahadeva, he didn't die with fear. He likely died with a smile. The debt was paid. The rice was digested. The bones could finally rest. So the next time you see Shakuni in a show or a movie, do not look at him with hatred. Look at his limp. Look at the dice in his hand. And remember that he is a man carrying the weight of 100 dead brothers, driven by a promise made in the darkest dungeon of the ancient world. The dice were not a game. They were a death sentence.